We at the top, if I see it, I cop it. All this guap, if I see it, I cop it. Got some new drip, if I see it, I cop it. Saw that new whip, if I see it, I cop it. Need a new grip, if I see it, I cop it. Lots of shrimp, if I see it, I cop it. I'm that kid, if I see it, I cop it. House off the grid, if I see it, I cop it. We at the top, if I see it, I cop it. All of this guap, if I see it, I cop it. Got some new drip, if I see it, I cop it. Saw that new whip, if I see it, I cop it. Need a new grip, if I see it, I cop it. Lots of shrimp, if I see it, I cop it. I'm that kid, if I see it, I cop it.
What up, fam-wise? What is going on? What's a good word?
Running through stores, if I see it, I rock
What
it.
up, boosh?
Girl, if you see it, I got it.
What
Run
up,
it up, more, we
beesh?
need all the profit. 100 racks back up in summer 16. Spent that whole bag on a whole summer dream. Life's complicated, no Avril Lavigne.
What up,
Got the new
fam-wise?
couple to blow us some steam. All these rappers just rapping.
What's
in
the
triplets.
good
Pushing
bird?
That product just got a new shipment. Pushing that road 50 over the limit. Cushion that blow, I don't get why they with
Hello.
it. We at the top and we throwing the game. All of these peasants
Hello.
will know of my name. All of these blessings, we staying the same. The drip is fluorescent, I'm going insane.
Hello,
Royal
hello.
genetics all up in my veins. Back me a real one and gave her my name. All of these issues, but no one to blame. Praying that God will just show me the way. Changing the game, got the source code, and I'm off road, and my horses go skirt. One in the same day, of course, no, we in first, yo, all my niggas, we were. Fake into fame, but we all know, cause the source told all you niggas just learn. Talking and saying y'all pseudo, and it's true though, y'all just popping them perks. Taking the stage, got a few shows.
All right, fam, now's the time to hit the share button, drop some hearts, drop some gorillas, biceps. We're getting into it.
All this guap, if I see it, I cop it. Got some new drip, if I see it, I cop it. Saw that new whip, if I see it, I cop it. Need a new grip, if I see it, I cop it. Lots of shrimp, if I see it, I cop it. I'm that kid, if I see it, I cop it. House off the grid, if I see it, I cop it. We at the top, if I see it, I cop it. All of this guap, if I see it, I cop it. Got some new drip, if I see it, I cop it. Saw that new whip, if I see it, I cop it. Need a new grip, if I see it, I cop it. Lots of shrimp, if I see it, I cop it. I'm that kid, if I see it, I cop it. House off the grid, if I see it, I
We
cop
only
it.
got one life, I'ma get that. If you with that, do not sit back and just wish that you had it. Despite all your witchcraft and your riffraff, this is my gift and you wish that you had it. Tonight, gonna bump trap, gonna thump that. Drums in the back and you know that we have it. Girls like where the one at, need to run back. Flee from these niggas, you know that they savage. They acting macho like they Randy Savage. They call me Pablo, the kingpin is at it. I am Apollo, you Rocky, I've had it. Y'all can just follow cause niggas is slacking. I am Jack Sparrow, my verses is cracking. I am the ghost and you rappers is Pac-Man. Out in the coast and I'm getting more blacking. Y'all acting hairy, I'm grabbing the waxing.
Top, if I see it, I cop it. All of this guap, if I see it, I cop it. Got some new drip, if I see it, I cop it. Saw that new whip, if I see it, I cop it. Need a new grip, if I see it, I cop it. Lobster and shrimp, if I see it, I cop it. I am that kid, if I see it, I cop it. House off the
Yes. Yes. Cortisol. Cortisol. Today, right now. Finish with the bullshit.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Bitches, bitches, hoes, hustlers, busters, bitches, bitches, sluts. Testing, 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 blah, 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 testing, testicles, testing, testing, testicles. Welcome, everyone, to episode 875 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, Slaycast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Why in the fuck is it tiny? Now it's back. What up, beaches? What up, booshes? What is going on? Welcome to episode 875. And we're live on Instagram now, too. I forgot to hit the button, so Instagram is now just showing up. So, hello, 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 hello. Welcome, everyone. I got a big weekend coming, a big week coming, a lot of great shit for those of you that are in the Swolenormous community. Stay tuned for that. Going to be really hooking everyone up. So you'll see all about it. You'll see all about it if you follow me on Instagram and the stories. If you're on Facebook, you'll probably hear about it, see about it. It's a great time of year, and I am going to absolutely give everyone the step up that they need to make the change this holiday season. This is the time of year where everything is going to go off the rails. And this is the time of year where cortisol is going to go through the roof, the stress hormones, the main stress hormone. So I'm going to break down a little bit more detail what cortisol is, what it does to the body. We talked about it yesterday in terms of fat specifically. I did go over some of the other things that stress causes, but this is what stress elevates. So it's a little bit different. You have stress and the things that can come from stress. This is why those things come from stress. Cortisol is the major stress hormone, which comes as a result of elevated stress. That just makes sense. That just sounds like it makes sense. Yesterday, we talked specifically, the title was about getting rid of fat, because when you increase stress levels, you increase your body's potential for storing fat and for holding fat and for, gathering the troops and keeping everything close by, because stress is here. Stress is in the environment. And on an evolutionary level, stress is you're fighting. Stress is an animal attack. Stress is a war. Stress is a battle, alpha male battle, or, protection of your life. And nowadays, we don't have that same kind of threat. In most cases, we are defending ourselves against traffic. We're defending ourselves against our nagging wife or husband or mother-in-law or something like that. You are just protecting yourself. You're internalizing it. How should I say that? You're internalizing this mechanism when it's usually just like a physical response. It's something to protect the body. It's something that needs to happen. We like cortisol. We like it. We like this response to stress. But what we don't like is when it's elevated, especially, and when I talk about elevated stress, and when anyone usually talks about elevated stress levels and having elevated cortisol, it's usually chronic. It's one thing to have stress. When you go to the gym, you have stress. It's a stressful environment. You're putting force. You're putting stress on your body. When you're in traffic, traffic's not going anywhere. We're not fucking less. We're going to have more and more people. So it's going to get worse and worse. That's going to be there. What we're trying to do is mitigate that. What we're trying to do is not have it be chronically elevated. There's a time for stress, okay, and there's a time for no stress. Right now, when I'm doing the Daily Swole, no stress. No stress. It's cool. It's all good, biche. It's all good, biches. No stress now. When you are in your good space, in your nice little comfort zone, usually no stress. This could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? I mean, stress helps us grow. Stress helps us develop, but it depends on what kind of stress. If you're exercising, physical stress. If you are in traffic, or someone said a naughty word, someone called me something mean and I'm really upset about it, really stressing me out. That's not a good thing. You're letting people stress you out. You're letting people, when you let someone stress you out or things stress you out, you're letting people have control of your hormones. Doesn't sound like a big deal. Sounds kind of weird, right? Well, they're controlling my hormones. But your emotions and the stress that's resulting from that is going to affect your body physically. We think of this as like you being stressed out mentally. That's how we think about it. We think, oh man, I'm really fucking stressed out. Like, oh, this person's really bothering me. We think about it like as if it's from the neck up. However, when we feel that way, everything really happens from the neck down. And that is what's keeping us overweight. That's what's keeping us from physically becoming what we want to be, especially when we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to build muscle, we're trying to do these things. Why is it not happening? And a lot of you that are watching this, most of you exercise, or most of you want to exercise. I mean, I think everyone here either exercises currently or wants to start and doesn't know where to start and is trying to rationalize the best time. I mean, this is a fitness podcast. We talk about health-related topics. So most, if not all of you, are doing some sort of pursuit of your own personal fitness, whatever that looks like, or you're trying to do better, or you just like the content and it might not be a top priority in your life, whatever it is, right? We're trying to make a positive change in ourselves and in others by being here. So I don't think anyone's here to, figure out how to make a better tasting pizza. We're here to fucking be healthier, right? So thank you for joining me on Instagram, again, Facebook, those of you that are watching on Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Daily Swole Podcast. Of course, I also have a YouTube channel at Swolenormous, Swolenormous everywhere. Swolenormous everywhere. YouTube's the only place where I stream on a different channel. That way you can have it all segmented in one spot, and I don't blow up my main channel where I do my vlogging and my response videos, my roasts and shit like that, so you can check me out there. And those of you that are not yet subscribed to the podcast, this is a podcast primarily, so make sure you go check out the audio gains. That way you can catch up on all the episodes. This is 875, so if you're new to the Swole, go check it out. And you can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify. Go to swolenormousx.com and click on podcast in the main menu, and you'll see all the apps linking you directly to the Gain Train. So yesterday's episode was fire. If you did not catch 874, yes, this is a absolute plug for you to go listen to that. So if you're a subscriber, if you listen and watch regularly, that is something that you do not want to miss. And anytime that you're getting an email from me and I'm talking about, go check out this episode, it's fire, go hit this up. If I'm hitting you up on Messenger, for those of you that are in the Daily Swole Club, if I'm telling you, hey, Bish, go listen to this episode, it's lit like a tit, go check it out, because I'm not just sitting here thinking, I think I'm just going to message thousands and thousands of people. I'm telling you to go check it out for a reason, because I don't want you to miss, specifically for a purpose. I know you're not going to be able to catch everyone, most likely. However, it's great for your knowledge. It's great to reinforce a lot of things that you might really, you might really believe in, or to keep you inspired to crush it every day. But when I send out a message and I'm telling you to go check out an episode, go check it out, because there is a reason. And yesterday's episode was great. It was great. It felt good. It was just the right time. And I got a lot of positive feedback from yesterday's episode. And I think I talked about this yesterday. Sometimes it just feels like a certain topic for me. It feels like, okay, this topic has to be addressed. And I'll feel that. I'm like, all right, this specific topic has to be addressed. And then I just have some feeling about it. And then I go and we'll do the topic, we'll do the podcast, and everyone will all of a sudden message me and be like, dude, that was fucking fire. I needed that. Oh, that really helped me out today. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And it's just funny how that works. I get this feeling like we're all just kind of cerebrally and just like mentally connected. And I just felt that was the topic for yesterday. And apparently it was, because I got the same messages after, and that was awesome. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you did not enjoy it yet, then you have to go enjoy. So we talked about stress and how stress raises body fat, and it can be a cause of stress. And I touched upon cortisol and why that was a factor. But mostly based on stress. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, Michael. Yes, Fitness is Life, the video, go check it out. There's a link in my Instagram bio for the full video on YouTube. You can also check it out on Facebook. So if you didn't check it out, go check it out, like, share, tag someone that needs to fucking hear that and wake the fuck up. So I'm glad you watched it. Thanks, Mike. So yesterday we just talked about stress and fat. All right, reduce your potential for storing fat. Reduce your stress, reduce your fat. Okay. That being the case, why does fat increase? Why does fat, do that? Or why does stress increase fat? Why does that happen? I hear the episode. All right, I get it. Increase stress or reducing stress, meditation, yoga, water, sleep, surrounding yourself with better people, all those things, meditation, that reduces stress. But what is the, chain reaction? What is it? So right now, I'm going to quote some things. I'm going to pull some technical, because this is real science, okay? Now, you can believe what you want to believe about nutrition. You can follow science. You can call things conspiracy. You can call big pharma and the medical community a problem. There are a lot of problems in our world. This content that I'm going to pull from is from WebMD, because this is a mechanism. When you talk about scientific mechanisms and things that we can observe in the chain reaction, there isn't debate about it. Like, we know what cortisol does. We know where it comes from. We know what actions it takes. And then the things that we're trying to not debate, but we're trying to figure out more is, okay, the effect of meditation on those things. Like those are the new studies that are coming out, but what cortisol is and what it does is not up for debate. So that's a great place to figure out mechanisms and the cause, right? The cause and effect of hormones and things like that, because this is stuff that's tested ad nauseum, that this is stuff that is observed, and this is stuff that's peer reviewed and published, and we know what cortisol is and what cortisol does. So those of you that don't know what cortisol is, it is pretty much a result of, I would say it's a defense mechanism. It is something that helps you respond to stress in your environment. Remember, we are creatures, we are animals. And we're not iPhone wielding creatures at heart, right? We're survivors. We are survivors. We are a species that has won. We survived, we're thriving, and we're on top of the food chain by all intents and purposes. And this is in large part due to this response, to our ability to respond to stress, to respond to an alarm reaction, to react. And it is the body's main stress hormone. And this comes from the adrenal glands. And this is on top of your kidneys. So if you're not aware of the endocrine system, it's fascinating. And yesterday we talked about this a little bit too. But those of you that didn't listen, I'm just going to kind of recap a little bit of a great analogy to think about how the endocrine system works. And this is just your system of hormones. And hormones are literally chemical messengers. There's many different types of messengers. And I equate hormones and the endocrine system and compare it to the neuromuscular system that we're all familiar with. When you lift weights, when you curl, when you bench, your brain triggers muscle contraction. That is like a text message. That's an instant message. The endocrine system, the hormones, that is more like snail mail. That's going to the post office, putting in a letter in the mailbox, and 2 or 3 days later, whatever, it's going to get delivered. And your body secretes hormones into the bloodstream. So pretty much your body says, it's like letting birds loose. It's like flee or throwing, how about this? Throwing something into the river and watching it float downstream. Your body's like, okay, hormones, fly. It doesn't directly go exactly where it's supposed to go. It goes into the bloodstream. And the blood that's already being circulated normally all over the body, that's where it's going to go. It's going to go everywhere. But the hormone is just kind of going with the flow. It's going where the blood's already going. And the way a hormone works is that it's going to have receptors. It's going to have little homing beacons. It's going to have like a little lock and key mechanism, however you want to break it down. That's extremely detailed. And I'm sure there's multiple ways, more than even I'm aware of, but it will attach to the receptor site that it fits, like a lock and a key, but it goes into the bloodstream and then just goes around and goes around. So when you're triggering muscle contraction, your brain's like bicep, meh, quad, meh, glute, meh. And then it happens like instantaneously almost, right? It's not really instantaneous, but by our measurement standards, you know, when you want to move a muscle, you move a muscle. And that is instant. But the endocrine system, it's almost not accurate. I mean, it's not accurate at all. You want to contract your biceps, go. Everyone right now, you know, I flex, you flex, boom, you flex your biceps. You got that, right? You contract your bicep muscle and it happens. But when you release a hormone into the system, that just goes everywhere. So it's going to have multiple actions in many cases. And that's what cortisol does. Yesterday we talked about, you know, you have inflammation and you're going to have, you know, when you release certain hormones, when you release a stress hormone, there are many receptor sites and many chain reactions that can take place as a result. And that could be one of the issues with stress and how it has multiple results, because it's not just, hey, I'm contracting my bicep. It's I'm under stress, you release hormones, and then things are going to happen as a result of that hormone release. And sometimes I would say it's more or less like a crapshoot in terms of, you know, you don't have control like a muscular contraction. And mitigating stress and mitigating these causes of this stress response when we are not stressed. And before we get more into like the details of the actual mechanics of cortisol, when we reduce our stress when we're not supposed to be stressed, if there's a tiger that jumps into your apartment, yeah, you should be stressed, and you want all the actions of cortisol and all the actions of your body to respond to that fight or flight mechanism to be on full alert. You want them to be firing on all cylinders. However, you don't want them to be firing all cylinders when you're sitting in traffic. when you're at home at dinner with your family, when you are at work. Like, you don't need stress all the time. You don't need these things elevated all the time. And when they're chronically elevated, this is where we're having a ton of problems. This is where we have a ton of problems. You have high blood pressure. You have all these fucking, results of elevated stress that are bad. Elevated stress, elevated cortisol, boom, bad things happen. And this is like, I'm making it clear, it's when it's not supposed to. And that's where I think some of these mechanisms of the body get a bad reputation, because we say, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. There's nothing bad that the body does. For our purposes, I mean, this is the way the body is. It's evolution. This is the way the body is. This is what we have to deal with. This is what we know. We're observing what the body does. It's not a good or bad thing. This is what the body does. Okay? If there's too much of a response, if there's too much, then yeah, it's not going to be good, but it doesn't mean that it's bad in its essence. Okay? Like I talk about fast food. Fast food's not bad. Fast food's bad when you eat it. All right? If someone's making it, if someone's making a a burger, and like, oh, they're boom, Big Mac, and they put it down on the table. Okay. That's a Big Mac. That Mac is big. But if you eat it, then it's a whole different thing. Then you're actually allowing it to do things to your body. So if you look and observe something, it's like, oh, there's candy over there. Okay. That candy is over there. It's a whole different situation. Would you agree if you put that candy in your mouth? And then what happens as a result? So it's kind of like that. Cortisol is not a bad thing. We need it. We require it. It's very, very helpful. However, when it's there, when it shouldn't be in elevated levels, then we got the problem. Then we have those issues. Okay, so let's get into a little bit more of the details and mechanics. Cortisol from the adrenal glands, which are right on top of your kidneys, right? They're right on top of that. And like I mentioned, fight or flight, it fuels your body's fight or flight mechanism. So what that does, and the reason why it does that, and the reason why it's elevated when your body is under duress, let's say a tiger jumps in your room and, oh my God, tiger. I use that because it's ridiculous, but that's what people used to have to deal with. I mean, if you're a caveman, you're living like in the fucking woods or a cave. I guess cavemen don't live in the woods, they live in caves. But if you are in your hut and all of a sudden you hear like a outside your fucking tent or wherever, and it's a tiger, shit, that was like legit. That was life. Now we don't have that. But if someone broke into your house with a gun, that is your response. That's the same type of shit. You have an invader, you have someone who you're trying to fight off, that kind of thing. Okay. So this is what cortisol helps regulate. This is what cortisol does. Again, I'm on WebMD and I'm just reading some bullet points. That way I don't miss one. And if you want to read about it more, obviously you have a phone. You can Google the fuck out of cortisol and there's stuff about it all the time. But this is very important to understand that this exists in your body. That way you can take further interest and go a little bit more into it. If this is something that sounds like shit, I really have to deal with it. How can I mitigate cortisol levels? How can I guess, train my body or develop my body and develop my existence in my life to keep this more at a limited level when it doesn't have to be elevated. So cortisol manages how your body uses carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It keeps inflammation down, regulates your blood pressure, increases your blood sugar, controls your sleep and your wake cycle, and it boosts energy so you can handle stress and restores balance afterwards. So these are things that cortisol has to do with. And yesterday's episode about stress, a lot of the same things, right? If you have a lot of blood sugar, if you have a release of blood sugar, and just think about how this actually can affect your body's fat, like yesterday's episode. If cortisol release increases your blood sugar and there's no need for blood sugar, you're in traffic and you're releasing blood sugar, your body can reabsorb that and store it as body fat. You're more likely to have storage of body fat if you're elevating blood sugar all the time. And that's why it can also be lead to type 2 diabetes, because you're just bumping your blood sugar up all the time because your body's releasing it as a result of releasing cortisol, as a result of being stressed. And this is, you see this chain reaction, that's this cycle that you don't have to be a scientist to understand how that kind of chain reaction works and how it's like a vicious cycle over and over and over and over again, right? Your sleep-wake cycle, being tired is stressful, so it'll increase your stress, which will increase the release of cortisol and all those different things. So yesterday we talked about sleep a lot. We talked about hydration. inflammation in the body by eating bad foods will cause stress, will cause, an alarm reaction in the body. Your body's going to war, it has to fight invaders, and stress goes up, cortisol release. So you can see how cortisol can have a constant presence in your body. Most importantly, a constant presence in your body when it's not welcome. Okay. So how does the actual mechanism of cortisol work? And I'll quote here, your hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which are both in your brain, by the way, will sense if your blood contains the right level of cortisol. If the level is too low, your brain adjusts the amount of hormones. Your adrenal glands pick up on the signals that are sent from the brain. The brain will actually trigger the adrenal glands to release the hormone. So you do have a nervous response. The brain will trigger the adrenal glands, and the adrenal glands will release hormones, cortisol, into the bloodstream, and then it goes around the river. Yeah. And then based on those signals, the adrenal glands will release X amount of cortisol. The receptors, as I mentioned before, the endocrine system, hormones have kind of like a lock and key mechanism. They have a homing beacon. They go to a specific place. And that is how your body kind of protects itself against the cortisol just smashing into everything and just going everywhere and anywhere. There are certain receptors on certain parts of the body that will, I would say, catch or attract the cortisol that's released because it's not accurate. Remember, it gets released into the bloodstream. It has to still go somewhere, right? How does something that's just randomly released, we'll just call it that, into the bloodstream get where it needs to go? It's not a nervous signal that's being triggered. Hey, bicep contract. This is just a release into a floating, running river. And it's because you have a certain shape, if you want to call it like lock and key, where this molecule, this cortisol molecule, will attach to a certain receptor site on a certain organ, on a certain place, and then cause an effect, cause the reaction. So that's how this just released hormone into the blood system, into the bloodstream, will get where it needs to go. Cortisol receptors, which are in most cells in your body, receive and use the hormone in different ways. Again, different effects, which is why it can wreak havoc if you have it elevated all the time. Your needs will differ from day to day. For instance, quote, when your body is on high alert, cortisol can alter or shut down functions that get in the way. These might include your digestive or reproductive systems, or your immune system, or even your growth processes. Sometimes your cortisol levels can get out of whack. Let's stop here for a second and let's extrapolate a little bit more about this sentence because it's very important. This site, again, WebMD, is clearly stating that your needs will differ from day to day and also moment to moment. What I want you to really think about is that fight or flight mechanism. It's also a stimulation of, which is an effect of the sympathetic nervous system. You have two branches pretty much of the nervous system, of the autonomic nervous system. That's the sympathetic and parasympathetic. You have a fight or flight and you have a housekeeping. And these are just the common terms we use for them. You have a portion and certain mechanisms that will happen when your body is under duress. If you're fighting that famous tiger that I keep talking about, you're running, you're exercising, you're in attack mode, fight or flight, or when you're relaxed, when you're sitting on the couch, when you're digesting, when you have to pee, when your body's doing housekeeping, digestion, things like that, things when you're not at like a heightened state. So when your body is on extreme high alert, when you're in fight or flight mechanism, do you think if you have someone breaking into your house, think about this. Someone breaks into your house, and this is going to be consciously and also just automatic. If someone's breaking into your house, is it effective for your body to be focusing on digestion? Is it important for your body to be focusing on digestion when you have an invader in your house? No. So cortisol levels are going to skyrocket. Your fight or flight system is going to go bullshit fucking crazy off the charts, and it's going to be such a high release that it's going to shut down other functions that get in the way. Your body is not going to be concerned with digestion. Your body is not going to be concerned with producing fucking sperm. Your body is not concerned with protecting itself against the flu. It's concerned with getting the fuck out of there or defending or protecting yourself from this invader, protecting your life, surviving. And when you have a sudden release like that, like a fucking spike of cortisol, it shuts down all those other functions, okay? Rush of sugar into the bloodstream for that explosive movement, for running, for sprinting, for doing anything to get out of the way or fighting or attacking. Respiratory rate goes up, everything, your heart rate goes up, you're sweating, everything goes up. I mean, I shouldn't say everything goes up, but it's a response to this extreme stress, right? This sudden stress. And this is effective. Wouldn't you say? You want this in that situation. This is something that you want to happen. However, imagine maybe not to that extreme of, let's say, a cortisol release of a stress response. Maybe you're not all the way up there. Maybe let's call that a 10. Someone's invading your house. That's a 10. Let's say you're always stressed out and cortisol levels are always high. You're one of those people that's storing fat, right? You're not managing your stress properly, X, Y, and Z. So maybe you're at a 5 all the time. Maybe you're at a 5 all the time. You're not at a 10. You're not at that 10 level. But what if you're at a 5 all the time? You're stressed with work, stressed with traffic, stressed with your kids, stressed with your friends, stressed in your relationship, stressed with your frustration with X, Y, and Z. You're just stressed. And you're at a 5 all the time. You can see how this would be a bad situation and will shut down these other systems. It'll shut down your immune system chronically. It'll shut down your reproductive systems, and you can have things like erectile dysfunction, issues like that. This will shut down your digestive processes and maybe lead towards inflammation because your body isn't dealing with digestion properly, and that's where most of your immunity is in your fucking gut. You could see how this would relate, and it says right here, your growth processes, growth, regeneration, growth hormone, repairing, building muscle, losing fat. It's just not the priority for your body. And if it's chronically elevated, maybe you're not at a 10, but what if you're at a 6? What if you're at a 5? What if you're at a 7? What if you're that all the time? I mean, let this sink in. Let this sink in. This is definitely one of those episodes where people need to know this, and most people don't. But this information is here. This is in your body. This is happening right now. Right now, you have certain levels of cortisol floating around. What are they doing there? Do they have a purpose? What are they doing that you need right now? Remember, it's not bad. Cortisol is your friend. You need it. You want it. But you don't want it all the time. You need to control it. And the way our life is now, when you're in the jungle, think about this. Before technology, you didn't have electronics, you didn't have refrigeration. You had to hunt. You had to sleep. You're in the woods. You're one with nature. You're calm. Your cortisol is only going through the fucking roof if like a tree falls on your hut, or there's an animal, or you're like in the hunt and you're trying to kill the animal for food, or like someone's attacking you. I mean, it's elevated when it needs to be. Now we're so stimulated. It's just elevated all the time, especially when it doesn't need to be. And that's why we're having these problems, because it's high all the fucking time. All the fucking time. For a lot of people. Okay. So when there's too much stress in your life, okay, when you are past this stress period, right? You're done with the attack. You're done with the tiger attack. You're done with the fight, the invader, right? Cortisol levels get reabsorbed. Your body calms back down. If you're under this constant stress, if you're under this constant barrage, if you're not managing your stress, you're in traffic, you're having issues with everything in your fucking life, what can it lead to? We talked about this yesterday, but I'll touch upon it again. And again, this is from the site. Anxiety and depression, headaches, heart disease, memory and concentration problems, problems with digestion, trouble sleeping, and weight gain. Think about that. Okay, if you're under constant stress and you're always in this alarm state, how many of those things I just listed, I'll go over them one more time, how many of those things I just listed are you dealing with on a regular basis? 1, anxiety and depression. 2, headaches, migraines. 3, heart disease. 4, memory and concentration problems. 5, problems with digestion. 6, trouble sleeping. And 7, weight gain. And some of those are multi-leveled. I mean, trouble sleeping is going to affect weight gain. Anxiety and depression is going to affect weight gain. Problems with digestion is going to lead to weight gain. Okay? I mean, you have anxiety and depression like crazy, and people are just passing out pills and antipsychotics to people, and it's coming from diet. It's coming from lack of stress management. Trouble sleeping. People are taking Ambien rather than eating better, rather than exercising, rather than managing their stress. I mean, these are things, memory and concentration problems. Everyone's passing out fucking ADHD medication to fucking kids rather than feeding them better, rather than pulling them away from fucking TVs and video games and stuff all the time, rather than helping them manage stress. This is a massive, massive fucking problem. And it starts at a young age. And this is all coming from stress. And stress comes in different forms. It can come from watching fucking stressful shit on TV and like watching the news. I mean, you see the news, it's just non-fucking stop misery. It's nonstop misery. It's nonstop bullshit and attention-grabbing fucking headlines that are designed to scare the fuck out of you all the time. The news and the news cycle, most shit that you watch on social media or TV or anywhere is just negative, stressful shit. So you're in traffic. When you watch TV, it's stressful fucking shit. When you're eating food, it's fucking bad food. You're staring at screens late at night. You're not sleeping right. I mean, you're nonstop in this fucking elevated, stressful state. That's why you're having problems. So you can talk all you want about counting calories. How many calories am I consuming? Nowhere in everything that I just fucking said today or yesterday is about counting fucking calories. Nothing I'm talking about is about counting calories. That's literally the least of your concern. The number one thing is why you're eating the food that you are. What are you actually eating? Forget fucking counting and measuring bullshit. Forget the macros. Oh, I'm questioning, what do you think about intermittent fasting? I don't give a fuck about intermittent fasting. I don't care if you want to fast all the time. Do it. Have fun. What are you eating when you are eating? I don't give a shit how long you're not eating for. I don't give a fuck. You can play around with that on your own time. What are you eating when you are consuming food? Who cares if you're intermittent fasting, if you're intermittent fasting with Burger King? Like, what are you consuming when you're eating? Are you getting the right foods in when you actually are eating? Then have fun. If you want to intermittent fast, you want to scream from the mountaintops, it's so great to eat for 8 hours rather than 12. Oh my God, night and day. Get the fuck out of here. It's about what you're consuming. Forget the caloric intake. These are the things that are much more of a factor in your life. Okay, so how does too much cortisol, or how could too much cortisol? Again, this is a combination of me reading some important mechanical factors from WebMD, but also I'm giving my own opinion, and I'm also extrapolating and creating analogies in this podcast to relate this content so it's not just like reading a fucking scientific journal, okay? So too much cortisol. Too much cortisol. How can too much cortisol exist? So just for example, this is here, so I want to make it a point. Quote, a nodule or a mass in your adrenal gland or a tumor in the brain, in the tumor of the brain's pituitary gland, can trigger your body to make too much cortisol. This can cause a condition known as Cushing's syndrome, and it can lead to rapid weight gain, skin that bruises easily, muscle weakness, diabetes, and many other health problems. So if you have a tumor, it can result in too much cortisol. But I want you to think about this. You probably have too much cortisol, but you don't have Cushing's syndrome. You don't have a fucking tumor in the brain. But if you did have Cushing's syndrome, it can lead to rapid weight gain, which most people deal with. It can lead to weakness in muscle tissue and affected muscle growth, which many people have. Diabetes. We talked about that. Fucking like 2 out of 3 people have fucking diabetes or pre-diabetic, and many other health problems as it lists here. It just kind of gets vague at the end. But in that case, okay, but you have a tumor, there's another fucking cause for it. If you're not sleeping properly, if you're always stressed out, you're not managing your stress properly, you're elevating cortisol on your account. It's not a tumor. As Arnold says, it's not a tumor. No, it's not a tumor. I don't have too much cortisol for a tumor. I'm just a lazy fucking bastard. Right? I mean, if you're elevating it and it's controllable, then fucking control it. Oh, but no one talks about that. Well, Papa Swole fucking does. On the other end of the spectrum, so let's say your body naturally does not make enough of cortisol. So this is like, okay, you have a tumor, you're producing too much, you can't control it. Your body has another issue and you're not producing enough. It's called Addison's disease. And when you don't have enough cortisol, here are some of the symptoms. You might have darkening on scars and skin folds, changes in skin quality. You're going to be tired all the time. Remember, cortisol releases sugar into the blood. muscle weakness that grows worse, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite and weight, and low blood pressure. So none of those things are good either. And you can see how cortisol is extremely important. We need it. Like, we need it. It's not, oh, cortisol's bad, I don't like it. You don't want to have none of it either. You want cortisol. You just don't want excessive amounts, and you don't want low amounts. Anytime you go get blood work done, anytime you go to a doctor, it's never like, oh, you want all of this or you want none of this. Usually it's a range, right? You have a healthy range between 0.4 and 0.7. Oh, you're at a 0.6, you're healthy. Or you want 50 to 100 of this. Oh, okay, we have 75, so we're in a good zone, right? Whenever you go, there's a range. There's a high end and a low end. But you definitely want cortisol. I mean, cortisol is high when it needs to be and lower when it needs to be lower, or should be in that case. If you have a medical condition that pumps it too high when you're not stressed, problem. Too low, not enough of it, problem. However, this is manageable without the disease aspect of it. This is manageable in how we manage our stress, and we can control what our cortisol does by controlling the cause of its release. If we control what stresses us, if we manage what stresses us, we're going to manage the response to the stress or the perceived stress. Most of our stress in our life is perceived. It's not real. We create it. We stress ourselves out for no fucking reason. Most things just exist. They are the way they are. It's how we react to them. It's how we associate ourselves. It's how we perceive them. It's how we respond to them. It's how we compartmentalize them. It's how we relate to them. And that is what meditation is very, very powerful for. Meditation helps you realize your relationship to existence, your relationship to life, your relationship to your thoughts, your relationship to all these things that can potentially cause stress. When you realize that, oh, I have control over whether or not this freaks me the fuck out. Interesting. And you go on with your life and it doesn't freak you the fuck out. You don't get stressed. Cortisol levels don't go through the roof unnecessarily. And you're a healthier person physically and mentally. And if that doesn't make sense, I don't know what does. If you're fixing the problem, the source. Oh, you have attention problems, you have memory problems. Here, let me give you some ADHD medication. Nope, not the answer. Oh, you're overweight. Well, let's get surgery for that. Or let's go on an extremely low caloric diet. Nope. Not the fucking cause of the weight gain, perhaps. You know, we're looking at it from the wrong, oh, you're not sleeping well? Okay, here's some Ambien to help you sleep. No, that's not the fucking answer. That's not the answer. These are just fucking Band-Aids because of the whole fucking system that's just upside down, ass backwards. That doesn't solve anything. You're treating the symptoms, that's why it gets worse and worse. And that's why people get addicted, because you're not fixing the fucking source of the issue, so it's not going to go away. So you just mask it, and these things have other side effects that just keep on fucking people up. And it's a huge problem. Okay? So again, according to WebMD, how to maintain healthy cortisol levels. And funny enough, this is like what we talked about yesterday. Check this shit out, right? And like I said, say what you want about the medical community. These physical mechanisms of hormones are proven. We know what they do, and this is undisputed. I think it's because the answers are so fucking basic that people can't handle it. It's like, shit, if I don't have to pay exorbitant amounts through my insurance and get a medication for it, it's personal responsibility. I'm going to rant on this in a second. Let me go through these reasons and some more reasons why I think people just don't fucking do a damn thing about it. All right. Here is the list. 6 things on this website. How to maintain healthy cortisol levels. Very similar to what we talked about yesterday, and that's why it's so fucking funny. The first one, eat well, exercise, and get lots of sleep. Eat well, exercise, and get lots of sleep. Well, thanks, Dr. Science, right? So simple. Number 2, get a massage. Okay. All right, we know that's relaxing. Number 3, go outside, meet up with friends, find ways to help others in your community. Okay? Spend time with people you like, enjoy, it's going to reduce your stress. Makes sense. Number 4, laugh. It's one of the best stress busters around, parentheses, it's free. 5, take up a hobby, do something you're interested in. And last one, try deep breathing, yoga, or meditation. So those are all great ideas. And I think we could agree that all those things can reduce stress. If you're taking up a hobby, you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to have less stress. You get a massage, it's physically relaxing. It's like foam rolling. It's like yoga and meditation. It's relaxing. It's going to reduce your stress. You're laughing. You're having fun. You're not stressed out when you're laughing. You meet up with friends. You're likely to laugh and spend time with people you enjoy. You're less likely to be stressed. Eating well, exercise. Okay. Now, when you think about cortisol and you think, well, how do I do that? Well, how do I manage my cortisol levels? How do I manage my stress? Oh my God, where do I start? And you look at a list like that and what we talked about yesterday, how do you maintain healthy levels? It almost seems vague. It's so fucking simple and easy. It almost seems vague. And that's why people don't do it. And let's go through these things and let's see what most people don't. What do most people do, right? That was a list of 6 things to maintain healthy cortisol levels. What do people do instead of that? They don't eat well. They don't exercise and they get shitty sleep. So the first one, eat well, exercise, and get lots of sleep. No, people don't eat well. They eat like shit. People don't exercise, lazy as fuck, and they don't get lots of sleep. They're staying up late, getting up early. 2, very few people get a massage, get a good one, or even can afford one because it's not cheap, right? If you go and get one, 70, 80, 90, 100 bucks. It's not cheap. 3, go outside. Most people live in fucking polluted, toxic environments in the city. You go outside, you're probably gonna get sicker than staying in. Meet up with friends. Most people have shitty friends and surround themselves with bad people. The next one, laugh. All right, some people laugh. People laugh as an escape. They'll watch comedy and they'll watch a show that they enjoy. But it's different when you're not around other people. If you're just like by yourself staring, you ever notice like when you're watching a TV show that has canned laughter, or you're watching a comedy and it's really fucking funny, you just don't laugh that hard. In your head, you're like, oh, that's really funny, but it's not enough to make you laugh. We're just getting numb to all stimulus. Take up a hobby. Most people are really busy, family, work, this, that, and the other, school, and they don't even think about their own personal interests. They don't do things they enjoy with their life. They're stressed out. They don't have any hobbies. They don't know what they like because they're so programmed to just do this and go here and go here and do this and do this. So they're fucking miserable. And the last one, try deep breathing. No one does that. Yoga, few people do that. Meditation, few people do that. So this is a list of maintaining healthy cortisol levels. And according to what I just said and what you're all aware of, people don't do any of these fucking things. No shit. We don't have maintenance of healthy cortisol levels. Holy fucking shocker. And let me finish with this. Why people don't make a big difference. Why people don't take control of their cortisol levels. Why people don't take control and don't do any of these things. Why? It's fucking ego. It's ego and responsibility. If you had to take responsibility for being fat, out of shape, and fucking responding to this, it's so simple and so easy that when someone reads this list, they're almost embarrassed, or they are embarrassed. They're embarrassed that they let it get to this point and they look at this list and they don't want to take personal responsibility because it makes them look and feel like shit, that it's this fucking simple. And I don't do anything. I don't do meditation. I don't do yoga. It's so fucking simple. I don't eat well. I make bad decisions. I don't exercise. I'm lazy. I don't get sleep. Oh, I'm so busy. God, yoga, meditation, eating better, lifting weights, and sleeping more, those are some basic human fucking functions. And I guarantee if you did that, you'd lose all the weight that you want. Very little doubt in my mind that you would see amazing progress. Of course, if you miss any one of those things, it can really stifle your growth or your development or your progress. How many of you are doing all that? How many of you are eating really well? How many of you are exercising regularly? How many of you are getting regular, consistent sleep? How many of you are doing yoga? How many of you are also doing meditation? How many of you are laughing? How many of you are socializing with positive people? How many of you are doing something that you love or following your passion? You're taking up your fucking hobby. How many of you are doing those things? Probably maybe like, 1% of you that are listening are doing all those things. Maybe in my community, 4%, 5%, I don't know. I doubt that most of you are doing that, all of those things. There's only so much time in the day, but there's definitely time for all of that shit every single day. All right, maybe you're not practicing a full-blown yoga class every day. Not always do you have a time to do lifting and yoga. I'm not saying you do all that physical activity every day, but the consistency, the practice over and over again, exposure to those things regularly. This is not rocket science. This is barely even science. It's common sense. And if you make those changes, it's fucking basic, the changes that you need to make. It's super basic. And I think it's the personal responsibility to address the fact that, fuck, I'm not doing these basic things. I have control over the most simplest stuff. You want it to be complicated. You want it to be complicated so you can be a victim. You want it to be complicated so you can blame something. Oh, I wasn't losing weight, or I wasn't making progress because I didn't have this information. I didn't have this. I didn't have access to a nice gym. I didn't have access to this special super priced food. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. You're making an excuse. You could do all those things for pretty much free. Pretty much free. You don't need money to exercise. You don't need money to sleep. You don't need money to do yoga. You don't need money to meditate. To eat well, it's cheaper than eating bad food. Prove it to me that eating healthy is more expensive. You're so full of shit. That's a load of crap. That's a load of crap. It is. It's a load of crap that eating well is more expensive. It's a fucking myth, and it's straight up wrong. I mean, it's free to laugh. It's free to go outside. It's free to meet up with friends. Like, none of this stuff costs money. And if you're not wasting your fucking money on shit you don't fucking need, if you're not spending time with shitty people, if you're not eating shitty food, if you're getting fucking rest, if you're exercising and actually moving your body, how much happier do you think? I mean, this is like almost like I'm talking to a fucking child. It's a stupid talk. And that's why people don't do this stuff, because they're embarrassed to realize that this is what it takes. And they want it to be. They want it to be complicated. They want it to be expensive. They want it to be something they didn't know is some fucking, hieroglyphic on a wall in Egypt. And I just couldn't fucking figure it out. Oh man, that's why I didn't do it. It's so hard. No, it's the simplest fucking thing to manage your stress. Maybe not simple. Well, simple. Easy. Everything's a challenge. Nothing's going to be perfect. The point is, it's not some like mind-blowing technique. It's not something that's out of reach. It's not something that's unreasonable. It's not something that's a scientific, complicated fucking calculus equation. It's not. It's just living like a person, eating real food and doing shit and realizing like your body is always internalizing its environment. Your body is always processing its environment. If you put your body in a shitty environment and you're perceiving your environment in a shitty way, your body's going to respond to that. And your body's going to fucking turn out like shit. Your body's going to be fat. You're going to be overweight. You're going to be miserable. You're going to have joint pain. You're going to be stiff. You're going to feel like fucking crap. You're going to have disease. Like, it's not a debate. It happens all the time. You see it everywhere. Your family, you, fuck. I mean, if you're overweight and you're really overweight and you're struggling, you feel like crap, listen to this episode again if you're just tuning in. Are you doing those things? Are you suffering from those? It's like, oh shit, I'm not doing any of those things. Well, big shocker that you're overweight and you're fucking unhealthy. Big fucking surprise. That's sarcastic, by the way. No surprise. No surprise. It's all there. It's all there. The signs are there. The proof is there. It's just your body is a reactionary organism. The environment, whatever that is, your body will react to it. It will respond to it. It will respond to it the best way it can so it lives. It will respond the best way it can so it survives. It will respond the best way it can so it lives to see tomorrow. That's it. Your body wants to live to see another day. And it will keep on adapting, doing the best it can to live to see another day until it can't anymore and you fucking die. Doing these things and paying attention to what I'm saying is a great way to improve your life for a longer period of time, hands down. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for episode 875 of the most muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, and Sleazecast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. I will see you tomorrow for 876. Plug in. Make sure you stay plugged in. YouTube. Stay plugged in. Instagram, Facebook. Stay on the prowl because I am going to hook everyone up. You will hear about it probably with email, with videos. You're going to hear all about it. The time has come, the walrus said, and the walrus is Papa fucking Swolio. I am on a tear with content. We are going to get yoked. Swolenormous X fam. We are going to get absolutely fucking on point this holiday season. and I'm going to bring as many of you along as possible. So stay tuned for that. Going to hook it up. So just follow me wherever you follow me, and you'll hear all about it. You can hit me up in the DM, message me if you have any questions. I will see you tomorrow for 876, and have a great rest of your Friday. Get your fucking swole on. Peace, McGee's, deuce, magoose, Papa Swolio. Out.